Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing returning to competition after years away. I haven't competed since I was a purple belt. I may have competed once at brown at some weird in-house, and I don't count it because I can't really remember it. And it was really not something that I don't know, I didn't take it all that serious. It was an in-house. It's kind of silly and fun. I didn't prep. So my competition days were from white belt to early blue belt. And then I competed somewhat through middle blue, but it wasn't as often. The majority of my competition was done at white to just about blue. And it was something that I did regularly, religiously, and I absolutely loved it. It was something that I tried to sign up for anything that I can get to. And it was a joy for me, whether I won or lost. My favorite moment wasn't the wins and the medals or any of that. It was that real quiet moment when you slap hands and the referee says combate. Everything else just sort of tuned off. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I didn't hear anything else. I didn't care about anything else. I wasn't wrapped in my emotions. My mind is constantly moving all the time. And I didn't have to worry about any of that. And then things started up. And once they started up, everything came back. But there was this split second or two where things were really quiet. And that was really what I loved about competing. I loved testing myself and seeing where things were going to go, but that was really the joy. So I have not competed regularly since purple belt, which is roughly 7 or 8 years ago. Over the years, I've kind of considered throwing my hat in, and I just always kind of backed off. It's really difficult because I'm teaching so much, 16 to 18 classes a month, working full time. I'm running a jiu-jitsu business, and a lot of it is about giving time to other people. That being selfish enough to prepare for a competition is a daunting effort. And if you're teaching as much as I am, or as even more of what like some other people are doing who actually own jiu-jitsu gyms, it's hard to break away and create a structure where your teaching is going to suffer. Your students are going to suffer, but you're putting in enough time to actually prepare where it's worth actually going out there and competing. It's hard. And so I'm throwing my hat in and I'm trying to see if this can work. I don't think I want to compete regularly all the time, but maybe do one a year. The other thing that kind of triggered this is I get seasonal depression around the fall and winter. It's nothing major. I don't want anyone to worry. It's not one of those things where I'm like clinically depressed and I can't get out of bed or I'm thinking negative thoughts no, it's just that time period. It gets darker, it gets gloomier, it rains more. It goes hand in hand with a couple of like childhood things, I think. Again, nothing major. Backstory. I remember I got to the 6th grade. This is the first time that we were doing letter grades, the first time we had multiple teachers that looked like kind of like high school. In grade school, you have like the one teacher you do all your subjects with. And I remember getting there and not adapting well at all. And again, you get to school in the fall, late summer, fall. And so I did not adapt well. I did not understand the material well. I was floundering. And I wasn't a bad kid. I just did not do well. And I started failing classes. I couldn't understand some of the shit. I don't know what was going on. And I started hiding my grades, and come to find out I had like 3 D's, and I don't think I had an F, but I had like 3 or 4 D's, and it was bad. And my mom found out, and I was in so much trouble. And I started having to do my homework in front of her, and I had to read the assignments in front of her. So then she would know what the answers are. And she'd be like, that's not the answer. And then I remember I would have to do my homework late into the night. My dad would get home from working, and there I'd be doing homework, fucking tired. And I just remember how much of an impact that was. And so it's not a good memory. It's not terrible. It's not child abuse, but it's not a good memory. And so fall for me just in general doesn't have the great feeling that some people have. And then I have that core memory of being in so much trouble. So I for whatever reason, I don't know. So fall to me and winter feel like depression in a sense. And I don't feel as motivated to do things. I feel kind of blah. So every fall, every winter, it's the same thing. I love the summer. I don't like the heat, but I love the life that summer has. And fall and winter are the complete opposites. So I tend to get a little down. And so I'm like, let me sign up for this. Let me jump in. It'll give me a goal. I get to focus on something outside of other people. I get to focus on myself a little bit. Let me get a shot. So I'm probably going to sign up in next week or two. But a lot of things that come through your mind when you have not competed for so long. When I used to compete, it was about chasing the medals, and that's not the goal this time around. It's really about seeing where my jiu-jitsu lands in connection or in comparison or against other people in the similar age, size, and skill level. And black belt's a giant skill gap. Like you can be first year black belt with 10 years in, or you can be going against someone who has had a black belt for as long as you've been training. So it's kind of wild. At 44, I'm not trying to highlight reel anyone. I'm not trying to show up or show out, or I want to see where things stack. I want to see where I compare. And if at this stage with my jiu-jitsu, if it can hold up in competition. It's also just a goal. The goal for me has not been, I want gold. It hasn't even entered my mind. It's really, I want to strive for something. I want to have a goal in mind. I want to see where that can go, and I want to play. I want to have fun. And so it's going to be interesting assessing how this is going to go once we're done. Also, my students have never seen me compete. I've been teaching the morning program for almost 4 years now. December will be 4 years. These people have never seen me compete. I'm in a black belt for 4 years now. So it's kind of interesting to see. It's almost like that athlete that used to compete. And there's one in mind, a professional wrestler, Goldberg. He had kids later than his career, and his kids had never seen him do the thing that he was famous for. And so he took up a match and prepared for it and held it. And one of the things for him was that he wanted his kids to see what dad was actually known for. So it's kind of weird in that sense as well. Like my students have never seen me compete. I've talked about it and I've talked about certain things, but they've never seen me compete, and that feels a little odd. So I think that's also one of the driving factors. I want them to see that their instructor is willing to, not that I need to, but also there's a little apprehension. Like, what if I completely suck? What if this goes horribly wrong? Now there's a lesson in that, hey, if it goes completely wrong, hold your composure, be prideful, be respectful, go about your business. Do the same thing if you win. I've never been a big celebrator. I've never been a big, look at me, I did this or I did that. I don't care. The biggest part of all of this is going to be how I competition prep. Because when you're teaching 16 to 18 classes, there isn't a whole lot of time to add. Like I don't want to be away from home for long periods of time and be selfish with my time against what my wife needs. But I have to balance and decide how this is going to work. And some of the ideas are maybe extending the class 15, 20 minutes and adding additional rolling at the end. Maybe doing some King of the Hill formats throughout the week. It's going to be really interesting because typically when I competed in the past, I was very adamant that I have to compete. I have to train like a competitor. And that's hard to do at this age and with the responsibilities I have. So we're going to have to get creative, and it's going to be interesting. It's a month out, so I can work certain things out. I don't have to necessarily worry about my diet. I'm at the cap now, 195. So I have to lose a few pounds. So the gi and my weight put me under. But really, it's going to be interesting in competition prep. Once I'm done here, I'm headed to La Mesa Open Mat. Hopefully get some things done in there. I'm probably going to ask a few people to come out and hopefully, if they don't mind, find me at an open mat or come to the 5 a.m. class, maybe afterwards to train. It's going to be interesting. Also, I don't know what, I reached out to old bastard BJJ. He competes quite often, and I have not competed at 40s. So I don't know what to expect. And I don't know what the competition prep should look like. Like my mindset is that of the way it used to be. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing that. Again, all of this is going to be interesting. This is going to be an adventure. It's going to be, I think it's going to be good for the writing. It's going to be good for some of the podcast episodes. There's a lot of I don't knows, and that's going to be the fun part. I do have to alter some of the training, and I don't want to alienate any of the students or make the students feel like they have to go through this competition prep with me. So balancing what the class structure is going to look like versus what I kind of need is going to be an interesting dynamic. But ultimately, I want to push myself, and I want to see what this is going to turn out to be. I'm not as nervous as I used to be. Anytime, as much as I loved competing, I used to be super, super nervous. I would get in my head. The minute I thought about it, I'd be relaxing and it would pop into my head and my heart would start racing and my palms would get sweaty and then I would do it with all that stress and tension and get finished, whether I won or lost, and be like, oh, I want to do it again. I don't necessarily feel that way. I'm a little nervous, but the majority is me just see what happens. And I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see what this process is going to look like and what I'm going to end up doing and how I'm going to change. I think every time you compete and you prep, the prep alone changes aspects of your game. You get sharper, your cardio gets better. You assess your game differently than when you would assess it against people that you roll with normally. You have to be more engaged in the process than normal. And I'm pretty engaged. I look at my game regularly and I assess things and I make new goals for myself. But competing is going to make that, and it's going to turn it up a little bit. Someone had joked that they finally get to see competition Dave and whatever. It'll be interesting. Emotionally, a mix of excitement and nervousness. I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not so grounded in this is going to go bad. I'm not I'm talking about it right now. I'm not nervous. I think that's a good sign. I think it's a sign of maturity and a sign of a deeper understanding of what the process is and what the whole thing means. I'm not the same person that I was in my early 30s when I was competing. Literally, maybe it is longer than 7 years. I don't know. But I'm hoping that this journey is going to be a fun one and fun to listen to. And we shall see. I'll keep you posted. Anyways, any questions on competing, any questions with me, any questions on jiu-jitsu, let me know. DFM.2099 on Instagram and Threads. I also have a free school community if you're interested in that. It's in the show notes, or you can search DFM Coaching BJJ. Until next time, thank you so much.